Recently, Hemmings gave honorable mention to the 2003 and 2004 Mustang SVT Cobra, more commonly known as the Terminator. They were talking about how the prices of these cars are trending upward. Now, it's good to see this range going up around the $30,000 range for nicer ones. We know in private sales it exceeds that. My favorite Cobras are the Red 10th Anniversary, which I own. This is mine, and the Competition Orange 2004, also my car. And if you know anything about the Terminator Cobra, you will know that it's legendary. Now, if you look at the production numbers, Ford made 13,476 03 Cobras, but in 2004 they only made 5,664 units. And there were colors offered some years that were not offered in others. Both in 2003 and 2004, you had some varieties. Now, Ford wanted to offer something a little special as the body style was going out and as the Cobras were ending. And the 1996 Mustang had a special color that was offered called Mystic. And so this is a Mystic Cobra, and it had different colors. You can see green, purple, teal, gold, and copper. And it's kind of like a root beer color. It took BASF 3 years to develop, and it was an $815 option back in 96. And so they wanted to make something like that again. And so they decided to come out with a little tweak of that color, but this time it would be offered by DuPont, the paint company. And the color would be a little bit different. It would have green, blue, purple, and black in it. So not so much of the root beer brown color, but a little bit of more like colors that you would see in the Sonic blue and the teal, kind of like that. It's a very interesting color, and catching all those colors at different times looks fantastic on this car. So there would be about half of these made as there were of the 96 Mystic Cobras, with 1010 produced, 1,010. There were 515 coupes and 495 convertibles made. And they all came with the chrome wheels, and instead of just a unique order code like the 10th Anniversary Cobras, this was an actual option. And you would choose the option 68M, or it would be ordered as a 300A or a 350A, depending if it was a coupe or convertible. And so here are a couple examples of window stickers. This one's a convertible, it says 350A. This one is for a coupe, says 300A. But basically you see the mystichrome package there for $3,650. And if you look at the top, it says exterior, mystichrome clear coat, interior, dark charcoal leather with mystichrome. And also down there by the mystichrome package, you see the 17-inch chrome wheels and the unique leather steering wheel. And so those are all things that would come on this car. So my good friend Tyler Ahern has owned several Terminator Cobras, a few Sonic Blues, a Competition Orange, and this Mystichrome. This was his previous Mystichrome Terminator Cobra. And we get to talking a lot about really neat things about Ford, about historic things, documentation, paperwork, things like that. And as we get into the rarity of these vehicles and conversations about that, we do need to bring a couple things up. Now, we're going to talk today about a very rare, one of two produced Mystichrome coupes that was a Saleen. It was converted into a Saleen by Saleen, and there was one convertible made. And That would technically be a one of two cars, being it's a mystichrome coupe, one of two made. But before we get into that, I do want to stress that as far as rarity goes, there might be something a little more rare than a mystichrome Saleen, and that would be a mystichrome that was ordered a special way. Out of the 515 coupes produced, which was actually quite a large number for the '04 Cobras, it puts it, I believe, in second place for the most produced of the '04 Cobras by color. But out of the 515, how many of those cars were actually spoiler delete that were mystichrome? Well, there's documentation here of at least one. And this would be something very interesting to consider because of the two Mr. Saleens produced, they were most likely spoiler cars. So they were taken from a bulk group of 500 vehicles or more, yet one like this was actually a very, very low numbered one. See how this one actually says you ordered rear spoiler delete. And so there aren't many Mystichrome Terminators that were produced this way by option. Now, is it possible that when Saleen ordered their Terminators, they ordered them without rear spoilers since they were going to be removed anyway? That's a good question, and it is possible, which would make this one of the most rare Cobras ever produced. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Mystichrome Cobras, my brother had a great video called Mystichrome Terminator Unicorn or Common, talks about the production numbers and stuff like that. My other friend at the MG channel produced a very nice walk-around video of a Mystichrome, and I'd be happy to leave the links to these videos below where you could watch them if you'd like to see some more of the Mystichrome content. Now, as we start talking about the rarity and the value of these cars, my friend Tyler, who I mentioned earlier, his Mystichrome Cobra with 8,000 miles on it sold for $70,500. Now, that's a very good amount of money. I've seen these cars listed even up to the $90,000 range for the basic Mystichrome Cobras with low mileage on them. What we really want to get into is the fact that the Saleen Mustang Cobras are becoming some of the most expensive new edge Mustangs and the most desirable and sought after in the collector world as far as price is concerned. About 4 years ago, I was contacted by a friend who actually purchased this one-of-one competition orange Saleen Terminator Cobra. And he had talked to me about what it took to acquire this car and how much he paid for it, which was a lot of money, and that these cars were going up in value. And again, my friend Miguel had a good video about the Saleen Terminator Cobra. He did a nice walk-around video of one. It was for sale around where he was, and this is one of 29 of the Terminators made, and there were, kind of some cool things about these cars and how many were produced. Saleen Mustangs were usually made off of GTs, but there were 128 that were actually made out of Cobras from 96 to '04. And so this is where we're getting into the lower production and rarest of the '03, '04 Cobras that were taken and turned into Saleens. These are the numbers that make up the 29. Now, being that they didn't make very many in 2003 and 2004, the Saleen Cobras are very uncommon, and it makes it so the production numbers are in the one-of-one to one-of-three made in all these different colors. And now I think it's also important to include that there was a color called Liz Stick Red, which is said to be named after Steve Saleen's wife, Elizabeth. And that was offered on the '03 Cobra convertible, number 11. And there was also a color in '03 called Rainbow. And Rainbow was kind of like Mystichrome. And so you could say that this car was ahead of its time. Now, this isn't a Terminator one in Rainbow. This is just showing what the rainbow color is like. But as we look over these production numbers, you can see that in 2003, there were only 2 in red fire, 2 black, 1 white, 1 rainbow in the coupes. And then the convertibles, there was 1 satin silver, 1 sonic blue, 1 black, 1 zinc yellow, 1 Liz stick. And then 2004, there was 1 Canadian red fire coupe. There were 7 coupes, 3 were black, so that's the most common, even though 3 isn't very common. 2 mystichrome, which we'll be talking about in depth today and have some really neat videos and pictures of one of those cars. 1 white, 1 competition orange, and the convertibles, you have 1 Canadian convertible in screaming yellow, which is pretty rare. Then, of course, you have the 3 screaming yellow convertibles, the 2 black, the mystichrome one, a white, a torch red, and a silver metallic. So that's making up the 29 cars that were 0304 Cobra Saleens. So there was a walk-around video of Paul Walker's collections of Mustangs, along with Roger Rodas, and they were the ones who both tragically died in the Porsche back in 2013. And as they walk through the collection, they quickly pass over a few of the Saleens, and there is the one-of-one mystichrome convertible car. So that was actually pretty cool to see, and that was one of the times that I actually came across this car by mistake, just kind of randomly in a video. And so luckily there are a few pictures of this car that have surfaced at car shows in different places. Here's one with the window sticker on it, and you can just see mostly the Terminator hood is what stands out to me, and the Cobra badges. That's kind of the quick way to tell if it's one of the Saleen Cobras, especially the Terminator with the hood and stuff. But this one's a speedster, so it has the cover on the back, which I'm not sure if that was a Saleen option or if somebody added that later or not. But inside the interior, you can see it still has the Cobra seats, the mystichrome ones, mystichrome leather, and this one actually has a stock 03 Cobra shift knob. If you look at the other Terminator Saleens, you'll see the shift knob was actually changed out for the Saleen one. And inside, you also see the door pulls were painted the same color as the car. These ones are red fire in this case, and so it just kind of shows there are a few things they did on the interior, even adding the S281 or the Saleen logo and the 281 on the lower door area. But on this other mystichrome car, you can see the leather on the steering wheel is still there, the gauges are still there, and the door pulls and everything, along with the pedals at the bottom and the floor mats. And so there are some things that are different on the inside. But looking at these cars, they're absolutely beautiful. Again, here's that convertible mystichrome one-of-one car, and this was taken at a car show. And speaking of car shows, this was at Carlisle, and Tyler had taken these really nice photos of this car. This is the Speedster Mystichrome Saleen. See the seats and everything in here, the heat extractor hood. Beautiful pictures of this car just to show that it's out there, it's being shown. It was at the car show. It's pretty cool to see, and it's been given some respect, and it was indoors at this nice show. So pretty cool to see all of that as well. So I want to thank him for sending in those pictures. And so looking at the exterior, you can see it has the body kit, the rear spoiler, the graphics, the wheels, the C-pillars, you can see have actually been changed. It has a little split there, which means they had to have been repainted Mystichrome as well. And obviously the bumpers did too and everything. Suspension, exhaust. So there were some changes there to the car. I'm glad they kept some things that were specific to the Terminator, like the Terminator hood, the folding mirrors, and stuff like that. Now, in my personal opinion, with how rare the Terminator Cobras are anyway, and how unique they are, especially with the Mystichrome paint in this case, I believe that Saleen should have kept the bumpers and all the Mystichrome parts and all the stock parts to these cars and offered them to the owner to keep just as a collectible piece, because you'll never get the bumpers to match exactly. You'll never get anything like that to be the same as it was from the factory, the side scoops, everything like that. Although it's not like those pieces would ever be put back on, but they are really neat, rare pieces in the first place. And maybe they turned around and sold them to help with their overhead and stuff like that. But to me, that's one of the reasons I am not as happy with the Saleen cars, because I feel like they took really neat bumpers and stuff and replaced them with their pieces. Now, other people have said things along that line, said that it looks like a Mustang with a cheap 2000s area body kit that doesn't fit right and everything. And so you can try to understand where they're coming from without trying to be mean about it, but it's true that it will never match exactly like the factory. Now, something along those lines is the fact that I don't think Saleen anticipated, and I don't think they possibly could have really known this, but the hood on the '03 Cobra is a little bit shorter than a normal hood on a Mustang, and the front bumper on an '03 Cobra comes up a little higher. So when you put a Saleen front bumper on a Terminator Cobra that wasn't made for it, then that bumper that was actually made to match a GT, it sits lower than the hood. And so you can see there's this gap here between the hood and the bumper. And to the trained eye, it becomes something unsightly. And now Saleen wasn't about to redesign and reproduce their entire front bumper just to make it meet the hood in this case. And I'm actually happy that they decided to continue with this instead of put the Saleen hood on the car. I love the '03 Cobra hood, and it's functional with the heat extractors. And so I think it was a good choice by Saleen to go ahead and keep that hood on there. Now, their aftermarket hood also has vents in it, and it might help extract the heat from it, but I think it's neat that they left that alone. Now that we've talked a little bit about the mystichrome Cobras, getting into the Saleens a little bit and realizing how special they are and how the values of these cars have gone up, I wanted to talk a little more in depth about these mystichrome Terminator Saleen Cobras. This is an older picture taken of Saleen 124. It looks like it says 124 on the bumper. It's hard to tell, but this was at a car show. Notice you can see in the background there's a Mystic Cobra, and it shows the difference between the two colors. The mystichrome is kind of a lighter color, it seems, but that's kind of cool to have those two together. Now, the one in the showroom we were looking at was 126. And so it's actually pretty cool to see both of the mystichrome Saleen Terminator coupes, see pictures of both of them and see that they're being cared for. And this one even had the rider cert or rider certificate right here. This is a copy of the one that came on my competition Orange Cobra, but it's basically a little certificate that shows that Ford had actually taken that car off the assembly line, went on a random test drive, made sure everything was okay, kind of a quality control thing, and saying that they hope that you'll enjoy driving the new Ford Motor Company vehicle for many safe and pleasant miles. So that's kind of cool that that documentation was on that Saleen car and that it stayed on there as well, even after visiting Saleen and having all the changes done to it and stuff. So that was pretty cool. So that's one of the other Saleen Mystichrome coupes. And this is the other one, known as number 124. Now, we're going to talk a lot about this car today, and that's the reason I'm actually making this video, but it's pretty obvious that these Saleen Terminator Cobras don't have a whole lot of coverage on them. The owners seem to keep them locked up. They don't get driven a lot, and they're very valuable and all that stuff. So the cool thing is the new owner who just took delivery of this Saleen Mystichrome coupe has had quite a history with Mustangs, and we're going to go through and look at the cars he's had so you'll get an idea of where he's coming from. And when you see the excitement he has when he gets the car delivered, you'll understand exactly why he's so excited. And it's because he's had so many cars in the past that he's loved, and this one is basically the best end-all Saleen you could possibly get. In the video, he refers to it as the nicest Mustang ever made. And in his opinion, that's because this is one of the rarest, neatest aftermarket Mustangs ever produced. So his first Mustang was a laser red 98 Mustang V6. It was an automatic. And I understand where he's coming from. I had a 97 laser red V6 5-speed. And I really loved the car, and he loved it too. It was a nice car. His parents didn't want him to have a 5-speed, 5-liter Mustang at that age. And I can understand that. It's a lot of power back then for somebody, and you don't need tons and tons of power, but even just the V8 with the positive traction and things that can help it get out of hand At a young age, I understand why a parent would say, let's start you out with something a little bit lower and you can work your way up. So he loved the laser red, enjoyed it for what it was, and when it's not faded, it is a beautiful color, and I got to experience that with mine as well. So later he added a Saleen spoiler. This is just the normal V6 spoiler in this picture. You can also see he had the Euro tail lights and aftermarket headlights, and he did that just because that was kind of the popular thing to do back then. And he added some Eagle 5-spoke wheels that look kind of like Saleen wheels, and he did March underdrive pulley kit. Then he sold that V6 to his girlfriend, and later he got this sapphire blue Mustang GTS. So it was basically the bare bones GT 5.0, and he did the Saleen stuff to it. There's the Eagle wheels, and then he added the Saleen wheels later. These are the Le Mans wheels, and then he added some Recaro seats, suspension, and lowering springs. And there's the Saleen stripes and body kit and stuff. And it started out stock, absolutely bone stock, but then he dropped in a 302 that was slightly bored over and had a Pro Charger, and that was the Pro Charger P600B, and that was a centrifugal supercharger. And that did pretty good, making 417 of the wheels. Then his third Mustang was my favorite, which I also own one of these right now. This is a 2004 Competition Orange Terminator Cobra, and he bought this brand new at Donway Ford in Ontario. He was able to purchase this, and he actually wanted Screaming Yellow, but they didn't have any left in the entire country, so he settled for Competition Orange, which sounds funny because it's one of the most desirable colors out there, and it was more of a second choice for him, but he did get this car, and he had it for 10 years. What's funny is he sold this in 2014, and that's when I bought mine. So that's pretty cool. Kind of a similar story there, but just kind of I've picked up where he left off. But beautiful car. That's one of my favorites. Here's a picture of it by a white Mach 1. Another great choice. That's a great color combination on the Mach 1. I love it. So here's some pictures of the Competition Orange Cobra. Very nice. Looks like fallish pictures with the leaves. Yellow GT there next to it. And just this color is fantastic. I'll tell you, owning this color in person, I can tell you it looks so much better than it does in pictures. It's a very, very bright color, but it's really cool to see. It's a really neat car to have, and to imagine he was able to buy that one brand new is fantastic. I'm surprised that he actually would sell that car. I would have a very hard time selling a Cobra like this, especially if I was able to buy it brand new. There's very few original owners still out there. But anyway, that's a really neat car, and that just adds to his credibility of the cars he's owned over the years. This one had the basic mods done to it. It was basically a pulleyed Cobra with bolt-ons. You can see the daytime running lights in this picture that shows it's a Canadian car. But it had a 2.8 upper Steeda pulley. It had a larger underdrive pulley, a JLT intake, Flowmaster exhaust, and the stock supercharger was actually ported, so it made 505 to the wheels. So that's a very neat car. You can see the dark charcoal insert seats, all Competition Orange, and all Screaming Yellow Terminator Cobras came with a dark charcoal inserts. And so that's kind of a way to show. If you look closely, you can see the kilometer gauge cluster there too. So then he found this really nice low mileage, one owner Mustang GT. It was an Opel Frost 94 Mustang GT owned by a woman who bought it brand new. It only had 5,000 miles on it, and he decided he wanted to sell that Competition Orange Cobra and build this into another Saleen style car. So he decided to drop in a 347 stroker with a Vortec V7 YSI supercharger. He had a whole list of things he added as well. He did a Trimic TKO transmission, Maximum Motorsports torque arm, panhard bar, lower control arms, subframe connectors, Eibach springs, Bilstein shocks and struts, fully built rear end, Willwood brakes on the front, 14-inch rotors with 6-piston calipers, Saleen body kit, wheels. Catback exhaust, Cervini's 3-inch cal hood, export taillights, carbon fiber S281 style wing, and custom peelable paint. Not plasti dip, but like a peelable paint. So you can see there was quite a bit of work done to that car, and you can see the opal frost underneath the hood there. So pretty cool car, a lot done to it. Then he was able to actually get an authentic 97 black Cobra. That was a Saleen, a real Saleen. And he really liked this car, and he only kept it a short while though, because he wanted to trade it for his friend's chrome yellow Mustang Saleen that we'll see here in a second. And it wasn't a real Saleen, it was a speedster, so it was the convertible, but it was yellow that he liked better, so that's why he wanted to trade it. But this is number 164, so it's one of 7 black 97 Cobra coupes made by Saleen. And so here's a little bit of a video of it running. And this is the chrome yellow 98 Mustang Cobra convertible that he traded that black one for. And so this was not a real Saleen, but it was a real Cobra. And he liked it a lot because of the yellow, and that's understandable, bright yellow. And, the color of a car means a lot to people. Sometimes people just really want to have the color they like, and they're not happy unless the car's the color that they really care for. And so then he was actually looking through hashtags of S351 on Instagram, and he found the hashtag that showed this car in San Diego, California. And he noticed that the son of the owner said that the car was for sale. And so he got really excited about it, and he really wanted to have this car. So he decided to go ahead and buy it. And so this is the S351. So it's I believe Saleen actually put bigger engines in these. The 5.0 was the biggest you could get, and then Saleen actually put a 351 in these cars. And so he was willing to go ahead and get rid of the yellow one and buy this car. And so he enjoyed having this car as well, and he was looking around, and he actually found in Michigan somebody was selling a screaming yellow 2004 Mustang Saleen S281. So he was able to acquire that car and have both of these together. And so there's a picture of the two of them together. So this is screaming yellow, which was the yellow in 2004. That's when they changed the color. It would have been zinc yellow if it was an 03. But it is the 04, more desirable to most people, screaming yellow, and this is a supercharged car. So it's pretty cool that Saleen took this. It's a 2-valve GT, basically. So it has like a mini supercharger on it, the Saleen supercharger on it. Not as big as the 03 Cobra or as powerful, but it is kind of a neat thing that Saleen did. And so there's that little supercharger on top there, a single belt with the alternator next to it. And so he really liked that car, and it was yellow, which is what he really wanted all along. And he enjoyed having this car for a couple of years, but as you can tell, we're leading up to the purchase of his mystichrome Saleen Terminator, which is a 6-figure car. And he really wanted to get one of those, and so he knew that he would have to sell both of these Saleen cars to be able to do it. And so He started getting the idea to do so, and of course, they're hard to come by, and there's only 2 of those that are coupes and 1 convertible of the mystichrome ones. And so, you know, with just over 20 Terminator Saleen Cobras made, you know, it's really hard to even get one of those cars. But he decided to go ahead and put this Saleen up for sale and his other one too, and sell it so that he could achieve the goal of getting the ultimate car, in his opinion, the mystichrome Terminator Cobra Saleen. So starting back in 2020, he was able to contact the owner of this car, Dave, and he was able to talk to him and say that he was interested in buying the car and asked if the car would ever be for sale. And David said that he's been entertaining offers from several people, but he just wasn't really interested in selling the car at the moment. But Eric, the owner of all these Saleens, the one we're talking about here, decided to keep hounding him, and he would contact him every few months and ask him about the car and see if it was for sale. And his persistent attitude ended up paying off about 3 years later when Dave finally said, okay, I'm ready to sell the car, and I feel like you're the one who's going to give it a good home. So this Terminator Cobra Mystichrome car was originally sold at a Ford dealership in New York, and the first owner was in West Virginia. And Dave was the second owner, and he had the car in Louisiana. And so Dave had bought the car in 2010, and now here we are in 2024, and the car is now in the hands of Eric in Ontario, Canada, and he is so excited to have this car. And I really love that about this video. You'll see how excited he is. You can hear it in his voice. I love to see people who are so enthusiastic about something and care about something so much, and when something means so much to somebody. And I've seen that in myself with the cars I own, and so I can relate. So here we go. You'll see how excited he is in this video of him taking delivery of this 2004 Mystichrome Terminator Cobra Saleen, one of 2 coupes in this color.
Mystichrome Saleen Cobra. I'm going to see it now for the first time. Oh my! Look at that thing! Oh man! Holy!
Right?
Yeah. Could you open that?
Yeah,
open that side door up.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny because I'm looking at it in person, so I'm not even paying attention to what my phone's doing, but I'm like,
Dude.
Oh my gosh.
Dude. Bro, like, what is this doing here, bro?
Unbelievable.
It's crazy, man.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
I cannot, I still can't believe that I obtained this thing.
Neither can I, Eric. Honestly, bro. Like, I don't know how you manage this, dude. I don't know how you manage this, bro. Like, bro.
Oh my.
get any back end shots on it yet. So
This looks unbelievable. This is literally the nicest Mustang ever created, man.
hands down.
Like, oh my.
That actually kind of looks black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too when you were reversing out. Oh my gosh, man.
Outside looks like.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, nice sunny day and take some nice shots.
Yo, yeah, I definitely will. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is mine.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Yeah, because of the overcast. So you're gonna find so many different light situations.
Different shades and colors.
Yeah.
And you two gotta do a picture together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Seriously.
Big time.
And so now, having known a little bit of his history, seeing the cars he's had in the past, seeing what it's taken for him to work his way up to getting one of these, you can see why he's so excited about this. And this is definitely a very rare car, and it's something that he loves and he's going to be able to enjoy owning. And it's a nice low-mile car and everything, and so really cool to see. And so this Cobra only has about 8,200 miles on it. That's a pretty low mileage car. It's not super, super low mileage, but it's what most people would consider a good amount of mileage to keep all the oils and fluids moving and all the seals and everything, so the car doesn't just dry out from sitting. So it's a healthy low mileage car. And so we'll look a little bit here under the hood and stuff. Something I like about it, and the owner and I were talking about, is that we're both happy that this car's engine was kept stock. You can see this is the engine, no pulley, no aftermarket intake or anything like that. Something I like is Saleen actually added this little stop, do not discard sticker like the K&N filters would have, but it has the Saleen logo on it, so that's kind of cool. But I like that Saleen recognized the power output of this car is more than what their S281 cars were, and that they didn't need to add anything to it. They didn't have to change the performance. They could leave the stock calibration, leave the car the way it was, and have an outstanding and super fast Cobra Mustang. And it was plenty of power for what it was, and all they had to do was their touches to it with exterior and a few little things on the interior and such. Now, a little bonus that I wanted to add here at the end of the video: while I was making this and talking with the owner and researching and going back and forth, my other friend had sent me this S351, which is a 95, I believe, and this car only has 289 miles on it, and it's all original down to the tires, except they did upgrade the supercharger to a V2. It was originally supercharged, but this is a neat Saleen S351, and it was for sale here in Utah, and I don't believe it's for sale anymore. I'm sure it didn't last very long, but my friend had sent me this and asked me if I had seen this and, you know, whatever. So I showed this to Eric as well, and he had already seen it, but it's just kind of cool to see stuff like this. This car basically has never been driven. I mean, 200 miles on it, you know, 1995. It's definitely been sitting its whole life, but pretty cool to see. I know that these cars become very collectible to a lot of people who loved the Saleens, and this is a piece of history, and it's a nice piece of SN95 Mustang history as well. It gives them a little bit more love. A lot of people do not like the 94 to 98 cars. There are plenty of people who do, like me. I love these cars. I love the New Edge ones a little more, but I still love these, and they have a good place in my heart. I definitely like these better than Fox bodies, and anything from 71 to 93 as far as the Mustang's concerned. These are more of my favorites, and so pretty cool car. So I just wanted to share that with everybody and let them see what comes up. And like I say in my other videos, when you see sale ads like this, they'll pop up. You have an opportunity to see the pictures, maybe save the pictures if you're lucky, and then the ad's gone, and then the pictures are gone forever. So you might not ever see this car again. So I'm happy that I documented this real quick and was able to add this to the video and just kind of share it. It looks like it has some paperwork with it, and it looks like it actually came with a whole extra trunk lid with the larger spoiler on there. So there's probably some story to that as well, but that's kind of cool. So I saved all this, and I also saved the listing so you could read through here and see what it says. Basically, it's just what I was saying. It's all stock, 289 miles, you know, yeah, 289 miles, you know, upgraded supercharger and stuff like that. So it's a S351R. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a pretty long one, and I know some people ask for longer videos and lots of details and stuff. So this is one for all the Saleen fans out there who love all this kind of stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.